Hi, I'm Carl Neal, the Incense Dragon. I'm super excited to introduce the very first incense cone mold I've ever offered for sale. I've been a professional incense maker for more than 25 years, and one thing that people have asked me for again and again is a mold for making their own incense cones. In all these years, I've never created one good enough to sell to our customers until now. I finally have one that I'm proud to offer to you. You can even use it to make your own backflow incense. Rolling natural incense cones is a skill that requires years of practice to make nicely sized, consistent cones. With this cone mold, you can make cones like an expert on your very first try. Best of all, using this mold can help you to learn to roll cones by hand as well. You can think of the mold as sort of training wheels for rolling cones by hand, if you ever want to develop that skill. Whether you do or not, this mold will let you make beautiful incense cones, even if you've never tried it before. Each mold includes cavities for 3 incense cones. The mold is designed to use up to a half a teaspoon of incense dough for each cone, although you can use smaller amounts if you'd like. You can use the mold 2 different ways. First, you can hold the mold closed and fill each cavity with incense dough. Just press down and level off the dough at the bottom. Open the mold and roll the cones out. You can then roll them further if you wish, or just straighten them and set them aside to dry. You can make a dozen cones in just a matter of minutes. If you prefer, you can open the mold and pack each side with up to a quarter teaspoon of incense dough. Close the mold and press it together and you have incense cones. If you use this approach, I think it's a good idea to put a small amount of extra dough onto one half of each cone. A ball of dough about the size of a pea is perfect. Having this extra dough helps the 2 halves to adhere to each other. If you make them without the extra dough, you might have to roll the cone a bit to make sure that the 2 halves are completely connected. That's all there is to it. Set your cones on a bare wood board or on a drying screen and allow them to dry completely before you attempt to light them. Want to make backflow incense cones? It's simple. When the cones are still wet, insert a toothpick or a skewer through the base of the cone and up into the interior. Just make sure you don't punch all the way through the cone. You need to leave the tip of the cone intact. You can do this while the cone is in the mold, but I think it's a little bit better to do it just after removing. Not only will these cones work with any backflow incense burner, the hole in the center actually helps them to dry faster. Whether you're new to incense making or have been rolling incense for years, the cone mold from the Incense Dragon is the ultimate way to make your own beautiful cones.